Today, I'm joined by Steve Collins, founder and CEO of My Way Up. Steve is an exercise physiologist with extensive experience in health, human performance, and gut health. His work is grounded in evidence based practice with a strong focus on long term well-being rather than quick fixes. In today's conversation, we'll explore the philosophy behind My Way Up, the science of collagen, and what inside out health truly means. Steve, thank you so much for joining me today.
You're welcome. I'm happy to be here.
So, talk to me. What first drew you into the world of health and well-being?
I started studying human physiology early in 2001, so it's been a long time. And I think a lot of people were drawn in like this, especially from Australia. I considered myself an amateur athlete, sportsman when I was in school, and I went to an all-boys school where sports was a big thing, and the body always interested me, and how to change the body with either training or nutrition, that really interested me. And that's what the discipline of physiology is. It's changing the body. So I thought that it would be a cool thing for me to learn more about as I continued my sports journey. But ultimately, as you probably are going to find out, my life took a few different turns along the way to land me to where I'm at.
Sh- Doesn't it always, though? You think you're on track, and then all of a sudden you just take a complete 360 and it takes you in a whole new, different direction. But that's where the magic happens.
This is how I got into gut health. I used to work on Harley Street in London, which is the famous medical street where all the princes and princesses and kings and queens and politicians and actresses and actors used to come. And I'm not going to name drop, but I could, Tracy Ann.
Damn.
And
I just want to get to some juicy bits. Yeah.
I could very, very juicy. But when I got back to Australia, that really opened my eyes up to what you could do with your career and how far you could take it. And
Mm.
so when I got back to Australia, I was working so hard. I was doing consulting in nutrition and exercise physiology. And I got really good at it, maybe a little bit too good, because I was seeing so many people. I was seeing more than 100 people every week. And 4 years in, my body just completely broke down.
Mm.
And I developed IBS, some different inflammatory conditions. I had psoriasis all over my face and my scalp. If I ate a chocolate bar, I'd be keeled over the bed for the next 24 hours. I would run to the bathroom several times a morning. It was really, really tricky. And I'm grateful for it at the end of the day, because that's what got me here.
And isn't it amazing, because so many of us have had that experience, or so many people are still living with that experience, and it's amazing what we can tolerate
Stress is
by
such,
living with something.
stress is such a underrated part of digestive health and skin health. When your body is stressed, your function slows down. So stress is the demand of energy from your body. It's anything that demands energy from your body. That's stress. Humans are very good at piling emotional stress onto us as well, and that can change our physiology. And obviously, physiological stress from dieting or over exercising, just
Mm.
under eating, poor quality diet, that can stress our bodies as well. But the gut is just like any other system. The gut requires actually a lot of energy. It's about the second most energy demanding system behind your brain.
Mm.
So if your energy is being put elsewhere to help cope with the demands of whatever stress you're putting your body under, digestion can slow right down very early on in that stress paradigm that people can find themselves in. And, you can get the symptoms of IBS, you can get the constipation, irritable bowel, like I said, the running to the bathroom, you can get the skin problems, whatever the etiology of that skin problem is. Maybe it's some leaky gut and some toxins are seeping into the blood supply. So one of those really important things that I learned on my gut health and ultimately skin health journey was the importance of overcoming my stress and
Mm.
building a body that was more resilient to that stress.
And so that's the thing. How do we know if we are stressed? And that's just how people show up each day or how they live their lives. They just are a bit more of a busier personality than somebody else. Like, often I'm asked, "Are you stressed?" And it's like, "Well, no, I don't think I am." But how do you know if you're stressed? Is it showing up, like you said, through psoriasis, through skin issues, or
That's a great question. And I'll stay in my lane with the when you are stressed digestively, you'll obviously have a change from the Goldilocks position. You know,
Mm.
not too hot, not too cold, everything's just right. So if we think of digestive health as everything's just right, your poos are, sausage alike, they're happening daily, your digestion is good, you feel warm after you're eating. You feel good after eating. You don't feel like horribly bloated after eating. You don't feel anxious about food. You're tolerating your food well. This is the Goldilocks position. And then if you're stressed, you can deviate either side of that. You might deviate into your gut function slowing right down, in which case you've got a tendency towards constipation. The number one cause of bloating is constipation. So, a lot of people really have this slower gut. And again, I like to draw that parallel between what stress and aging in general is, and that's the slowdown of your physiological function. And then one
Mm.
of those bits of physiology is your digestive function. So that slowdown of north, where food goes into your mouth, to south time, which obviously food goes out the other end, that gets really slow. So instead of being in the 12 to 24 hours, where food goes in one end, comes out the other, it's taking 48 hours. It's
Mm.
taking, longer than 48 hours to get through. And imagine, when a salad that you have on your warm kitchen counter, it starts to turn, it turns quick, doesn't it?
Mm.
And your gut is this very warm, moist, bacteria-rich environment. So if stuff stays down there, if food stuff stay down there for a little bit longer than they have to, geez, it can turn quick and it can turn into this real festering, fermenting, giving off gas and all sorts of toxins, endotoxins, inside your gut that can make you feel pretty rough. It has an effect on the gut-skin axis, gut-brain axis, all those kind of things. So,
It's sitting there and stagnant, right? It's meant to sweep through. We're meant to be having regular
yes.
daily habits.
Yes, when your systems are designed to deal with these microbes that are in your gut. When strictly speaking, from a science point of view, when you eat food, it's not yet inside you. It's in a pipe that has holes on
Mm.
each end, and when it goes through that digestive tunnel, when it goes through the digestive walls, then it's inside your body, but it's not yet inside you. And that's where your microbiome, this bacteria, these typically they're mostly bacteria in there. There's some other things in there as well, like a little bit of fungi, a little bit of
Mhm.
archaea, which is an ancient bacteria. But this is where your microbiome helps you digest your food. But your body, when it's functioning well, is good at sweeping that digestive system out. But under stress, or if you're stress eating and you're trying to eat like a sparrow at meal times and then you find yourself snacking an hour or two later, then you interrupt those normal cleaning waves in your gut. So where your body is really highly designed to sort of manage that gut microbiome and that bacterial growth that happens really fast, like in our salad example, stress can really disrupt and damage those normal cleaning mechanisms that your gut has, in which case these bacteria in your gut, they release what's called lipopolysaccharides. A better way to describe that, and an accurate way to describe that, is endotoxin. So toxins that are inside your body, and that's the stuff that can be inflammation associated, trigger some leaky gut, and have those toxins going into places that they shouldn't, into your blood supply, obviously upsetting the apple cart with your immune system, and there's your
Mm.
gut-skin axis at play.
And I think it's really important to hone in on stress because it sounds like it is a major component. And often when we do have constipation, irritable bowel symptoms, bloated tummies, we often think it's something that we've eaten the day before, the same day, whatever it may be, because we're symptomatic. But it sounds to me like stress is a big factor.
There is a proximity bias. So a proximity bias would be I eat something and maybe it's like a salad and then it goes, or some fiber is a really common one. I eat some fiber and then it goes into my gut and I get all this bloating and I think, oh, well, I can't eat carrots. I get it. It's
Yes.
not the poor old carrot's fault. It's the fault of the
Mm.
digestive system that you're putting it into. So an example would be, hey, for most people, I think we could agree that walking is good. But for
Mm.
someone with a broken leg, walking is not good. You have to go and rehab that broken leg, get it back to being strong and, go through your physio, and then walking and jumping and running and leg press and squats and stuff, that's going to be great for you. But whilst your leg is broken, you're going to get those symptoms. And if your gut is under stress and you're getting these symptoms from foods that you used to eat just fine, and now you're symptomatic to them, is it the food or is it the system that you're putting that food into?
I've been there, and it can be a really dangerous line of where the food becomes the enemy, right? It's just the elimination diet, but before you know it, you've eliminated everything, and you're just having, like, eggs on buckwheat
Yeah,
toast, and it's like, "Oh, finally, I'm not bloated." Um, but that's not sustainable, right? So it's really important to understand the root cause of what's going on. So when did you realize, Steve, that gut health wasn't just supportive, but foundational to overall well-being?
what the psoriasis that I got on my face really knocked me for six,
Mm.
and the IBS and things I could sweep under the rug, but the psoriasis I couldn't hide. So that really hit home for me that I knew my gut was a mess, and it was showing clearly on my face. So what happened in my gut didn't stay in my gut. It spread out to different parts of my body, and I'm grateful in many ways that it showed up on my face because it was very difficult to ignore.
Yeah.
Gums would bleed. I'd get some bleeding in other places, and
So
it was a real
painful.
mess. So it really showed up. So it was very obvious that my gut was foundational, given it was, a problem with my gut that was showing up in other places. Happy to dive into that a little bit more, but
Yeah, so did that then take you on your journey? So you went in and started doing some own self-research. That's when you started exploring
yeah,
deeper.
that's right. Here's what happened. I went to hospital a couple of times. I kept getting kicked out. I went to the doctors a few times, and this was an unblemished record of not going into the hospital for 35 years since I was a little
Mm.
kid. And I'd been to hospital twice in a week and went to doctors. And then I started to question whether or not I had an appendicitis, which is what I thought I'd had when I first presented. And I just got really good at repairing my gut. I took on a whole bunch of mentors. I used my physiology degree, and by that point, I'd had 15, 16 years in the industry. I used
Mm.
that to really look at some of the natural health ways. I'm allopathically trained. I'm trained in like normal Western medicine, right? We don't, you kind of snip it and clip it up, rather than treat it with
Sure.
herbs and different amino acids and different nutraceuticals and nutritional compounds. So that was the thing that I really learned. I really learned a system for repairing my gut after, in many ways, being let down by hospitals and doctors. I will add that years later, my appendix finally burst and went septic, and it was an emergency surgery. So I'm glad that Western medicine was there for that. But
Yes.
that was the catalyst for me learning how to heal my gut, because when I first started, I just thought it was probiotics and fiber. And when I did that,
Uh,
my gut got worse. So I thought, geez, I need to get stuck in and learn here.
because often there's elements like SIBO, right? And so if you're feeding the bad bacteria with probiotics, it just exacerbates your symptoms, right?
SIBO is very common in people that are stressed
Mm.
and have damaged guts because, again, those cleaning mechanisms are interrupted. And definitionally, stress and aging is that down regulation of your physiological function, including your gut. So that those microbes that should be getting cleaned out and regulated, they're overgrowing and causing strife in the small intestine, which is SIBO.
Mm. Damn those microbes.
Yeah.
So when you think about My Way Up, what is the philosophy and the heart of it?
Our philosophy is foundational in that we try and teach people the three R's. And the three R's are relieve your symptoms, repair your gut, so repair your gut wall, and restore your gut microbiome. And if people can do this, then they've taken a huge leap forward in their ability to sort of foundationally improve the rest of the things like their skin, their hair, their energy, obviously digestive habits, bowel function, all that sort of stuff. I mean, there's nothing like a good magical poo in the morning to have you start you
So
off on the
satisfying.
right foot. Gut health can really be the trigger for the rest of your health, and that's really what we try and get across at My Way Out. We're nutritionally agnostic. We don't mind if you bring whatever diet you want. It's not our job to be judgmental around diet or try and teach people around that. It's our job to help people repair their gut and be able to do it long term. So
Mm.
it's very foundational what we teach.
And listening to the warning signs, like you said, having the psoriasis, not pooping every day, having skin issues, having bloating issues, they are our body's way of telling us that something isn't right.
They are leading indicators,
Mm.
and a lagging indicator would be what happened to me is my face blew up with psoriasis and my gums were bleeding. And so
Yeah,
don't
you were not listening.
I'm the typical guy, I think, in that I used to look healthy, but I was able to sweep it under the rug. So unfortunately, I missed the leading indicators of bloating and food sensitivity and maybe some skin rashes and just not feeling very good. And finally, a leading indicator would be there's a sag in the roof. A lagging
Mm,
indicator is the roof has fallen down on your head. So you want to be looking at those leading indicators. So if someone's
sure.
listening to this and they're suffering with, food sensitivity, some upset digestive habits and bowel habits, there's every chance this can get worse if left alone. So it's best to pay attention to those leading indicators.
For sure, I agree. So, why is education and transparency so important to you in an industry that's often trend driven?
I found it easy to be education first because I've got a physiology degree and I used to coach people one on one for 15 years or even longer. So it kind of comes easy to me to want to do right by people in terms of getting the best ingredients and doing the testing and making sure we're really focused on building a Rolls Royce style product. I imagine it's difficult for people if they're just business people that get into supplements because it's very easy to say, well, what's the difference between a marine collagen from wild caught fish or from farm fish in Vietnam?
Sure.
Because one's cheaper than the other. So I think it might be difficult if you're just a business person because you might see the bottom line a little bit more closely. But it's easy for me to operate from that place of where we're trying to do the best job that we can. Firstly, because it was absolutely painful for me. I really had a few years of my life disrupted with the gut health issues and super painful emotionally with the skin problems because I was still seeing lots of clients at that point. It's our job to help people, minimize that and really turn their skin and their gut health back in the right direction. So we found it really easy to be education first. Most of us are coaches here on My Way Up. We're mostly naturopaths and clinical nutritionists.
Fabulous. So, for the person out there that has tried everything, who is mostly healthy, fit, sourced different practitioners, naturopaths, had, seen a gastroenterologist, done cleanses, has a fair amount of knowledge, but has been suffering for years, speak to that person. What are they missing?
One thing that was a penny drop moment for me when I was on my gut health journey was understanding that energy is a very, very important part of a function.
Mm,
So if your body is under a lot of stress, you might be doing all the things that you just mentioned, Tracy Ann, going to see all the people, but you might not just be eating enough high quality energy, prioritizing sleep enough. You might be putting everyone else but yourself first. You might be stepping over $100 notes to pick up 50-cent coins. Those basics are actually very, very important. And you can't out supplement those basics. We have two supplement classes on the books, right? We have complementary medicines and we have functional foods. Now, complementary medicines, we love people to just to be on them for 90 days or so. The idea is to get in, address the problem and get off. So, that's really important to see supplementation as potentially short term. And then things like collagen and functional foods can be longer term for sure, because it's just harder to get collagen in the diet. But energy is a real foundation of healing. If you go to hospital and you're bang in trouble, your vital signs aren't looking good, they will give you a bag of sugar to help stabilize your cells. They will give you that energy. So energy is
mm,
very, very fundamental to why you're alive and why you're this beautifully complex life form that is supposed to function well. So I would look at the actual nourishment you're giving your body in terms of actual energy going into your body, vitamins and minerals. So obviously your macros and your micros. I'd be really aware of eating good quality food, and then of course getting good quality sleep, working on your fundamental breathing patterns. So breathing with your belly and not your neck. Most people are up here in their neck and very, very stressed, this can be really, really a signal that your body is just under stress, and you're also signaling your body that it's under stress every time you breathe.
100%.
These are basically the fundamentals, aren't they? It's air, it's
Mhm.
food, and it's sleep. I mean, you can throw water in there as well, but of course, I think most of us are all right at drinking water for some reason. I think
Yeah.
that with all the electrolytes around the place. So those three fundamentals are really easy to downplay in search of, fancy supplements or fancy protocols. But those fundamentals, like I talked about, say with SIBO, for example, if you get your digestive system moving again, like functioning properly again, then that's a really big help. And under stress, your digestive system won't function well. It'll
Mm.
slow down. The blood flow that's supposed to go to your digestive system will go to other places. Remember, stress is fight or flight, isn't it? So your blood flow that should be going to your gut will go to your brain, and it will go to your running away muscles or your fighting
Mm.
muscles. I'm more running away muscles, but calming your body down is very fundamental to the healing process. In the same way as if you've damaged your body and you have to go to hospital, you're not going to be running. The doctors and nurses aren't going to be happy with you if you're running around the hospital. They want you calm and they want you recovering so that you can put that energy to good use.
And it's just the intention to understand that it is all connected, isn't it? Everything, like you said, the way we sleep, breathe, eat, move, how we process stress, if we're meditating, just like you said, putting yourself first, particularly as women, we tend to put ourselves last. So it's all these elements, it's all connected, it's all part of the big picture.
You're right, and the basics are so important. If looking at extremes can help inform a more mean point of view. And so an extreme way to look at this might be, imagine yourself as your 18-year-old best version, or whenever you were the best version of yourself. Hopefully you feel like you were sleeping like a baby, your appetite was really robust and strong, you were feeding yourself, you were kind to yourself, you weren't punishing yourself in the gym and in other places. And contrast that with, you know, imagine your 90-year-old self, or some grandparent or a great grandparent that you've seen, and it's such a struggle to eat. If they get a cut on their skin, it doesn't heal. Your hair doesn't grow properly. So it's this real decline of your body's ability to use energy.
Mm.
That's a real catalyst for aging, because a great working definition for aging is the decline in physiological function. So if you contrast that best 20-something-year-old version of yourself with potentially a 90-year-old version of yourself, and think, where would I like to be? And what are the differences? Well, this younger version of yourself is likely sleeping better, managing stress better, eating more,
Mm.
you know, more active, so the tendency towards those things, those more youthful traits, obviously help your body continue to hold on to those more youthful traits like lean muscle, good metabolism, great hair, great skin, and great
Mm.
digestive function.
Steve, there are so many collagen products available now. In fact, it's saturated on the market, confusing for the consumer. What makes My Way Up collagen different to the others?
Collagen Restore is really our marquee collagen product, and it's different because, well, it's a nice high quality collagen product. Our collagen, we're about to switch into a brand new collagen that's what's called fourth generation manufacturing. So this is the only collagen manufacturer in the world that have this level. So we're excited to switch into that in early 2026. Really, really high quality collagen peptide. But look, collagen peptides, there's a big difference between high quality collagen peptides and low quality collagen peptides. But normally you can get some collagen powder in between your fingers and just feel it. If it feels nice and fine, then it's probably decent quality. And
So
if it smells,
is that the difference between hydrolyzed and non-hydrolyzed? Is hydrolyzed more easily absorbed into the body than
yes.
non?
So
Yes.
so gelatin is a cousin of collagen, and gelatin's
Mhm.
not hydrolyzed. So this is like a big long chain. And think about what happens to gelatin when you put it in, say, your coffee. You couldn't put gelatin in your coffee. it's
Mhm.
it's going to be all stuck down the bottom. So yeah, hydrolyzed collagen is a chopped up version, a very finely cut up version. So these long peptide chains, these are just chains of amino acids all looped together. They're cut up very finely with an enzymatic process. So normally if you've got this very fine looking collagen powder, this is a good sign. Now, the difference between Collagen Restore and the other collagen powders out there on the market, it's sort of got the beauty aspects built in. It's got a good dose of bamboo silica. This is very helpful for hair, skin, nails. It's obviously got a great dose of pure collagen peptides. They're hydrolyzed. They're really a nice quality. I've tasted a lot of different collagens. I used to live in Switzerland, so a lot of the big nutraceutical fairs are out there. So I've tasted them all, and we chose a really good one. And it's also got a little bit of zinc in there too for your hair, skin, nails. Now, the big difference is it's got a very special prebiotic called Bimuno. Now, Bimuno is a evidence-based prebiotic that helps to improve different aspects of your digestive health and function and your gut health and function. Interestingly, there's some studies on Bimuno is a type of galacto-oligosaccharide. Interestingly, there's some studies on galacto-oligosaccharides without using any collagen or anything else, just galacto-oligosaccharides, and they've been done on Japanese women, that just taking the galacto-oligosaccharides reduce wrinkles. I
Mm,
found that fascinating. So
that's
there's
amazing.
a special, it's really amazing. There's a special type of prebiotic, so it's just works on the gut that reduces wrinkles. So when I did that research, I was like, well, this is peanut butter and jelly. This is a match made in heaven. So not only does it help with wrinkles independently of collagen, it also helps reduce bloating, improve bowel function. It's got some anti-stress properties on a double dose of Collagen Restore. So it helps people cope with stress and emotional stress, and it also lowers cortisol.
So does that mean a double dose into one serving or separate dose throughout the day?
Either. Yeah, great
Okay.
question. Either. Yeah,
Mm.
this is not a not a goal of trying to get you to use more collagen or anything like that. It's just on the double dose is where those claims are for the stress and the emotional stress. And on the
Mhm.
single dose are things like improving bowel regularity, bloating, improving immunity. There's some
Mm.
interesting elite athlete claims. So if you're really going to the gym and you find yourself stressed, Collagen Restore can help support that stress and build a bit more resilience within your gut and obviously then in your wider body. So we think that's really the big difference. And it just so happens that galacto-oligosaccharides mix really well as well, and they're
Mm.
ever so slightly sweet. So they're a good fit for collagen to put in your tea, coffee. And as a coach, I compliance is the science. So if you can piggyback off a habit that you already have, so most of us here probably drink coffee or tea or have a smoothie, it
Mhm.
works well in all three of those form factors. I just put it in my coffee, and listen, I don't live in Sydney, but I'm fairly coffee snobbish myself, and it's fine in there. It's actually really good. It just makes it a bit more creamy.
Absolutely. So, Steve, you have quite a few products in your range. Talk to me about them. And is there anyone in particular that has a cult following?
Collagen Restore has definitely got a cult following because it's
Mhm.
very, very noticeable in that first week or two. There's a claim on it that says it benefits gut health in 7 days, courtesy of the Bimuno galacto-oligosaccharides in there. So you're getting like quite a noticeable effect early on. We feel like that's got a cult following. It's very easy to take. There's two others as well. Now, we have a product called Skin and Gut that was built to scratch my own itch. Literally, I'm a horrible psoriasis, and I had a lifetime prescription for steroid creams or ointments, I guess, that a doctor gave me. So that wasn't very pleasant. I've had my chin lasered, and I had like permanent redness and a bit of TSW, topical steroid withdrawal. Horrible stuff. Do yourself a favor and don't Google it, but just please don't overuse steroid creams. On the other hand, so Skin and Gut, we think it's about the only product that deals really nicely with symptoms of acne and also symptoms of mild eczema and mild psoriasis and dermatitis. So it's got really a broad action there. And there's a couple of ways it does that. It helps directly with the skin, and then it helps indirectly by repairing the gut, doing a couple of interesting things to the gut microbiome. And then it's got a blood cleanser in there called burdock root as well. So it sort of cleanses that blood out as well and supports the liver. So that's really, we're shocked at some of the transformation, like skin transformation stories that come in there, of course. So you're obviously going to have a cult following there. The other one is Debloat Detox. Now, Debloat Detox was our first ever formula. My biggest mentor in natural medicine was a guy by the name of Dr. Ray Peat. And his whole thing was using cascara to help people who were suffering with constipation to speed up the
Yeah, I
bowels and really
remember
get.
that for years ago. Yeah, that was a big thing. Quite a few.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and look, that constipation is a symptom that's just tricky to help people overcome. And when I was coaching people through different gut health journeys, I could usually get pretty good at helping people with everything else, but the constipation was sometimes a little bit tricky, and sometimes it can be very, very useful to use some herbs to help with that. So debloat detox is I wouldn't call it polarizing, but sort of 19 reviews will come in saying this was the best supplement that we've ever bought ever. And then one review will come in saying this didn't do anything. And then we've got a money back guarantee. So that's kind of covered. But
Yeah.
that's a polarizing yet has a cult following.
And with that particular product so it's only staying on it for 90 days. You mentioned those particular kind of cleansing products are more of a 90-day as opposed to the collagen you would ordinarily take every day, but specific ones for detoxing is
Yeah,
different?
collagen restore, think of it as your, building blocks.
Mhm.
When you go into a supermarket, the proteins that you'll find in there are either from the muscles of animals, or, including fish, or vegan plant-based proteins. And
Mhm.
these are obviously high quality proteins, but the collagen, it's best to think of it's the skin, it's the joints, and it's not so much the bones in collagen, but there's your bones are 80% collagen. So you're eating collagen to help balance your protein intake. A lot of people are very heavy on the muscles. And so collagen is your old nose to tail, what your great grandma would have done. It's your broths and your oxtail soups and chicken feet and things like that. It's the hard stuff for us to cook and get our heads around. So yeah, I'm under no illusions that people are going to be cooking up chicken feet soup after
Yeah.
this. Maybe some
No,
oxtail soup. It's pretty
definitely
good.
not me.
But so for consistency, and again, that compliance is the science, collagen supplementation, as opposed to trying to get it in your diet, is a really good option to just build a habit around and maintain it long term. With complementary medicines like skin and gut or Debloat Detox, and all supplements out there that are in pill form really should be rated as complementary medicines. If they're not, then you should look into it a little bit more because they're sort of skirting the rules. But Debloat Detox is, look, some people use it forever because they just can't poo.
Mm.
And it's one of those things. It's either I don't poop or I've got to go on super harsh over the counter laxatives. But Debloat Detox is really helped me to poo, and that's okay. You can do that.
Yeah.
I have coffee every day.
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
so
Which
you
can do
can
the
have
same
those
thing.
things.
Yeah.
Yeah, but sort of typically, well, in the sense that
Sorry, in terms of bowel movements, coffee can
it
do
can, yeah, no,
that
it
for
can.
some people, right? Yeah.
Mine was more, I'm just committed to using coffee at least once a day. It's okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Some people commit to debloat at least once a day because it's the only thing that gets them going. We
Sure.
always recommend just one jar at a time, and just 7 to 14 days, and using that as sort of a cleanse. And that
Mm.
works nicely as a cleanse. And then you sort of build up your own digestive function with something like Collagen Restore, or we've got a product called Daily Gut, which is sort of a Rolls Royce probiotic, prebiotic, and polyphenol product. Skin and gut is, we give people a loose guideline of 90 days just to help people give themselves a biologically fair timeline to get their
Mm.
body, to get their skin some progress and some healing. Some people stay on it for longer. Some people are happy with the 90 days. When I was going in and improving my psoriasis symptoms, I certainly stayed on it for a lot longer because it was so painful for me. So I really wanted to get on top of it.
There's also
Maybe
that fear of it coming back, perhaps, as well.
Absolutely. The nervous system can take the longest to heal.
Mm.
Every stress leaves a scar, and that might not be visible, hopefully not visible, but it can leave a scar on that nervous system. And I remember one time I got a speeding ticket. It was really unfair. It was a completely unfair speeding ticket. It was right on this, going down a hill. And then every time for the next 3 years, when I drove down that hill, my heart rate would go up a little bit and I'd think about it. So that left a scar on me that took a long time to heal, much longer than it took me to pay the speeding
Sure.
ticket. And your gut is obviously innervated by the enteric nervous system. People call this your second brain. Some
Mm.
ways it's your first brain because it was there before your actual brain. You needed a way to get energy so that then you could grow your brain. So it's this very primal system that,
Mm.
those nerves there can be stressed and can be damaged with, gut damage in general that might clear up quite quickly surface, but it might take a little bit longer with the
On the
immune system.
inside. Yeah.
And until you get your confidence back to have a margarita without worrying that you'll wake up with a face full of psoriasis or a terrible digestive system the next morning.
Sure. And what's the difference between grass-fed collagen and marine collagen? Do they do the same thing?
Yeah, Bovine collagen is a bit more of an all-rounder collagen. All right, so it has a couple of different types of collagen, type 1 and type 3. The best way to think of that, it's a little bit more of an all-rounder for skin, joints, and bones, right? So connective tissue. We like bovine collagen. You can use a little bit more if you want more of that type 1 collagen, which is specific to the skin, and that's what you'll find in the marine collagen. There's probably a little less taste in there. It's like quite neutral if you get a good one. Collagen Restore is very, very neutral, for example. It's a little bit, it's cheaper, so it's a bit more budget friendly. If you're very, very specific to skin, and you don't care as much about the rest of the stuff, joints, bones, whatever, then marine's your option.
Gotcha.
Marine,
Yeah.
look, marine's something to be a little bit careful of, in my opinion, in that a lot of marine is going to be, they say it's sustainable. Now, sustainable is a slang for farmed,
Mm.
and the farms, these aren't like juicy farms, right? These are pretty nasty farms there. I've had some stories. And then your wild caught fish from skin and not scales. This is your gold standard. So collagen should come from the skin. And so if a collagen brand is mentioning that, we actually have a marine collagen that's from freshwater cod. So it's wild caught, comes from the skin and not scales. If someone's like, hey, Steve, I'm all about my skin health, then we always recommend the marine collagen. If someone's like, hey, I'm about skin health and I'm super about my joints and just my whole body, we recommend both. We say, hey, do a little bit of both. And if someone's like, look, I just want the best collagen that's an all-rounder that's going to help me with all of the above, Collagen Restore is any deficit with the skin help is overcome with the bamboo silica, the zinc, and the
Gotcha.
galacto-oligosaccharides.
Yeah. So, how does gut health influence not just our skin, but our energy, mood, and long term vitality?
Well, if you think of your digestive health as your mechanism for getting energy, so obviously you've got to eat this food. The job of your gut is to use enzymes and bile acid and different juices to break that energy apart so that it can slide through that gut wall into your blood and your lymph and get cleaned in the liver, and then it goes off into your different cells. So your digestive system is so fundamental because without it, you can't even get the energy, right?
Mm.
You're not a plant. You can't photosynthesize that energy, right? So it's so fundamental to your energy. Okay, so if your energy is poor, then this is why it's such a good idea to look at gut health, And most people are carrying around a few months worth of energy around their belly and things like that, right? So sometimes it's not that you're necessarily not eating enough. It's just that ability of your digestive system to get that energy, to get those vitamins and minerals in the first place. It's a really important place to look at. And then, of
Sure.
course, your mood. There's a huge communication loop between your gut and your brain, your gut-brain axis. So it's a two-way feedback loop. And if you're upset in your gut, I mean,
So
there's definitely
true.
studies about how people's mood is, irritation, anger, snappiness, whatever you want to call it, and irritable bowel and how your actual gut health is. And again, there's that big ancient nervous system that innervates your gut called your enteric nervous system. And there's all these very interesting types of nerve cells there that has that communication, very ancient communication loop via one nerve to your gut. So very, very related to your energy, very related to your mood. There's
It's
also
all
another
connected.
communication loop between your skin. Yeah,
Yeah.
it sure is. And what happens in your gut does not stay in your gut, I'm afraid.
I like that. So, what are some of the biggest misconceptions you see around gut health? We've spoken
Well,
about stress being one of them. What else?
I think that when I first thought, oh, geez, I've messed my gut up here, all I knew was sort of eat more fiber and take probiotics. And I think
Yes.
there's a lot of misconception around probiotics. Now, we have probiotics at My Way Up, but we mostly have prebiotics.
Free. Mm.
Prebiotics are things that go and feed. They're very specific fibers typically that feed very specific beneficial microbes in the gut. Okay, so we're encouraging the microbes in there to bloom up and sort of take back control. So, probiotics, you're just thinking, well, I'll just throw some probiotics down there and see what happens. Not that much will happen. And
Hmm.
probiotics don't fundamentally change anything in your gut. And a lot of people are very surprised to learn that. They don't stick around. they're like guests in your house that are vagrants. They pass by, they might tell a few jokes, they might whip up a few eggs and bacons for breakfast, but these are all good things, but ultimately they go. So probiotics, they don't have a lasting effect. They only have a transient effect. So you have to keep taking them. Whereas prebiotics, you can start to actually change that ecosystem. Okay, you can really start to turn that ecosystem back. And if you think about your gut ecosystem, a little bit like you would think about the Great Barrier Reef. There's a lot of people out there that really their ecosystems mimic the Great Barrier Reef, and that the Great Barrier Reef, I'm afraid, is now dysbiotic. It's no longer regulating itself. It's no longer bouncing back from insults. It's dying.
Mm.
Overpopulation, over tourism, overfishing, commercial developments, water acidification have all put so much stress on the beautiful reef that it's broken and it can no longer self-regulate, and it's not, unfortunately, I mean, I hope it bounces back with technology, with different
Mm.
technologies, but it's seeming like it's not bouncing back. This is dysbiosis, right? So human guts are the same. You can pile weight, one too many stresses on there, antibiotics, too much booze, too much stress, too much ultra-processed foods, right? And it can be a straw that broke the camel's back situation, in that you're now symbiotic gut. It's a gut that can handle those insults and bounce back, is now dysbiotic. It's now more disease supporting than it is health supporting. And prebiotics can really help to change that fundamental gut ecosystem. So
Mm.
this is something that I think the word prebiotic is bandied around, but I didn't know what it was when I first started in gut health. So prebiotics actually really, really can be powerful. They can scare you off a little bit, because if you go too hard at them too early, they can
Mm.
cause bloating, right? But this is just like the leg press when it's your first time in the gym for
That's
6
right.
months.
Gently
You
does
don't
it.
need you don't
Yeah.
need to go hard. So start slow and go low is a good
And
one-liner.
understand your body, it's not
Mm.
about sort of always taking the daily recommended dose. It's just tuning in and listening to your body and waiting and watching for symptoms, and then easy does it.
Yeah, if you get symptoms, you've gone a little bit too hard. If you've laid out on the
Mm.
beach too long and your symptom is sunburn, you've gone a little bit too hard. So
Mhm.
the next day is not to quit and go carnivore or something like that, or zero fiber. It might be, hey, I'm just going to back off my dose. I'm just going to take my time onboarding to a full dose of a prebiotic or fiber in general.
Sure. Can you share a story about a particular person or client when you saw your products genuinely change their well-being?
I can't. Yeah, I had one client that lost 25 kilograms and really changed her body composition in an amazing way. I remember when I first saw her, she couldn't stand up without using both her hands on her knees to push herself up. And now she's really strong and can deadlift and squat probably
Wow.
more than me. But when I also saw her, she was barely eating, yet she was still overweight, and she had reflux, and she was on proton pump inhibitors, the reflux meds, and she was really scared of food because, of course, like when you eat food, you get bloated and you get horrible symptoms and reflux and acid, you're going to be scared of food. And also when you're overweight, and you're going to be scared of food, right? Because food is
It
seen as
becomes
it's what put you there, isn't it? In
yeah.
at least in your mind. And so, this lady's name was Monica, and what we did with Monica is we introduced more regular meals. So we started to settle her very stressed body down in the same way as if someone comes in a hospital and it's an emergency and your physiology is really, it's not looking good. Your physiology and your cell function will be settled down by a bag of sugar regularly. So a bit more regular energy was she was very scared to do that, but a bit more regular energy. And when she got that more regular energy, her body calmed down. So then her sleep improved, and she didn't have to use 8 cups of coffee a day or whatever she was doing. A challenge that I gave her was, let's back it off to 3 and then 2. So her body calmed down. And when your body calms down, remember your grandma told you, most of our grandmas told us, it's rest and digest, isn't it? So
Mm.
her gut function improved because she was more calm. And then when her gut function improved, she was less bloated, and she ended up getting off the PPIs because her north to south action was improving, and she got herself into a positive feedback loop. So one small win made the chances of her getting another small win slightly higher. And now she has two small wins. And then, so with those two small wins, the chances of getting a third were slightly higher. And it snowballed for her instead of
Mm.
going the other way, which it had for however many years. It snowballed the other way. A focus on gut health, a focus on settling her body down and using little meals and making sure food wasn't viewed as the enemy was really, really important in the early days for her. And of course, we matched that with some strength training and exercise and things like that.
Wow. And how's Monica doing today?
Fantastic. She's actually a powerlifting champion now. I didn't want to go too much into it. She's literally just
Yeah.
deadlifter. I would not like to try and out deadlift her. I don't think I could do it, but she's phenomenal. She's in her 50s, and I don't want to give you a late 50s, early 50s. I'll be in trouble.
Yeah.
But she's in her 50s and she's fantastic. She's got grown-up kids, and it's just really the power of just getting those baselines right, just
And
settling the body
also
down.
understanding that you don't have to put up with things and we can change at any given time in our life. And like we said earlier on in the conversation, often we live with our symptoms and we put up with certain things and we're so used to being a certain way and we come to brick walls and think that we can't fix what's going on. But in Monica's case, that's just a wonderful example that we can change the narrative at any age. So what did that experience with Monica reinforce for you in what you do with your business?
I'm a little bit contrarian like that. I felt like I've unwittingly become a contrarian, and that the opposite has rung true. After we're in 2025, I started university in University of Queensland in 2001, early 2001. So that's what I've really noticed is that unfortunately a lot of advice out there is just plain old wrong. Eat less, move more. I mean, it seems reasonable. And if you're going to KFC or McDonald's drive-through every 3 times a day, then yes, maybe you do have to eat less. But my credo is just eat better and try to think through that eating a little bit more. I mean, put it to what would your great grandma do? What's a more traditional way of looking at food? And the other sort of part of that would be seeing your health journey, putting it in a framework of or frame of reference, in that if you were in hospital, what would be your rehab from hospital? Well, firstly, you'd be laid up, wouldn't you? The volatility that you had put yourself in your life, all the stress and all the things happening, hopefully that's been deleted. Hopefully you've got certainty in the hospital. You're laid up, you're not allowed to move unless you've got a wheelchair, you've got your meals coming in. So reducing that volatility and reducing the amount of ask and pressure that you're putting on your body is really important to getting back to the start of your healing journey. The same as if you've got a broken leg, you can't jump up and down and run, and all the things that are good for people that are healthy
Mm.
are not good for you right now. If you have a graze on your left knee and your right knee's fine, if you squeeze lemon juice on each knee, they're going to have two totally different results. So
Mm.
what's good for the goose isn't good for the gander right now when you're injured, when you're unhealthy. So
It's
going
meeting
back to
yourself where you're at, isn't it? It's meeting yourself exactly where you're at and going back to basics.
Yeah, your friends might be at a different place than you right now on your healing journey. But again, it's like your friends, if they've got two non-broken legs and you've got a broken leg, you'll catch up, but you're just at a different place. You
Mm.
might have to really look at your food and get it back to basics. You might have to make sure that you're eating easily digestible but high nutrient foods. An example of that, which is wild to even think about, is when my digestive system was a real mess. I had to drink pulp-free orange juice to get my minerals and some energy
Mm.
into my body. If I was a step worse and I had full-on inflammatory bowel disease, I'd have to eat a full liquid diet, or even I'd have to
Mm.
get energy tapped into my veins. So, the other side of that coin is a raw vegan diet, right? That's going to put most people into a place where they're very bloated, but you're going to exist somewhere on that spectrum of you can eat whatever. You've got an ironclad stomach, and nope, you're getting bloated. Pretty much anything's bloating you. So you're going to have to keep going back to basics. And that's really a
Yeah.
good place to start to operate from.
So why do you think stories are just as important as the scientific data in this space? I loved hearing the story about Monica. And I guess when you're jumping on someone's website, you want to see the stories. You want to see the testimonials. I mean, it's great to see the data as well. But in
I
your
love a good
opinion?
story. I do love a good story, and I
I
love
can
a
tell
good.
you love a good story.
I do, and I like to reason from analogy, which is a nice way to think of it
Yes.
all. Think of put yourself in a hospital, put yourself in. Imagine you've got a broken leg.
Yes.
These are frames that we can visualize, and I
Mhm.
think it's important to be able to visualize things and put what is a difficult, complex sort of things that we're talking about, to put them in very simple, understandable terms. If someone's talking in technical terms to you and you don't understand, it's more pretty likely that he or she doesn't understand either. So really getting back to basics with the way that you can communicate. I think stories do that really well.
Mm.
I love a good story.
Where do you see My Way Up heading in the future? What are your big
We've just,
plans?
Yeah, we've got our first preclinical trial research paper that we've released on Collagen Restore. So the research we did on it was done in France, and the research we did was, can it increase remarkably GLP-1 production and PPY production? These are both satiety hormones that are produced in the gut. GLP-1 obviously made famous by the medical weight loss interventions that are available now.
Yeah.
So we wanted to understand if Collagen Restore could do that. We suspected it would be able to do that with a combination of a really strong, good quality, evidence-based prebiotic, and protein can also help with your increasing your GLP-1 production. And the result that we got was that it did remarkably increase GLP-1. So the next step would be to go on and do a human clinical trial. And it's always been my goal. This is a really important one for me. It's always been a goal of ours to do some more research on skin and gut and see if we can get more people on the skin and gut journey at the start of their skin issues. When the acne is
Mm.
first coming, before the scars, before I hate to say it,
Okay,
but
that's
before
to
people
all
put on
the
the peel.
parents out there that have got teenagers, looking for people to do clinical trials, perhaps?
Oh, I suffered with acne when I was a teen, and it's just so painful. And I just wish I had my time over again in some ways. I am filled with regret in that regard, because we get a really nice result for people typically on skin and gut. And it's like, geez, if you take 12 weeks, 90 days, the worst that could happen is it doesn't work, and then you've got to go on the pill or whatever it is. But really,
Mhm.
the best that can happen is you get a great result and you avoid medication that messes with your hormones. So
Which is the
I'm
goal.
pretty passionate about that.
And often that's a goal, isn't it? But medication does have its place if you do have sort of severe cystic acne. Then obviously you have to sort of go to extreme measures. But like you said, at the beginning of a journey with acne, especially that teenage years or going through the hormonal changes, your product could be a fantastic support.
Yeah, this is your leading indicators versus lagging indicators. So,
Mm.
if you've got like really severe acne, you need to go to the doctor immediately. But those leading indicators of, my son or daughter's got some digestive upset, there's some zits,
Yeah.
some oily skin, that sort of stuff might be a good leading indicator to do something about it. That's a natural mechanism.
And any new exciting products on the horizon?
We do. We've got a couple of new products coming. One's called Metabolism Plus. It's a innovative weight loss support product. It's using this is I find this super interesting. It's the key Rolls Royce ingredient is a blood orange polyphenol that's
Mm.
extracted that has some very interesting research. It's from Sicily as well. I mean, it's really the trifecta there. A
Wow.
Sicilian blood orange polyphenol that has some really interesting research done on it in humans that's showing that it supports healthy weight loss, it supports healthy BMI, it supports sort of really sustainable, healthy weight management. So we're really happy about that. A lot of the weight loss products out there is going to shock and alarm people, but have berberine in there. And berberine is helpful for weight loss for about a month. About 5 pounds. These are American studies. So, 2.2, 2.5 kilos. But what berberine does is it can damage the gut microbiome. So long-term use is we never advise it. So you get a little bit of support there at the start, and then you can do a little bit of damage to your gut microbiome in that mid to longer term. So this would be a non-berberine based sort of weight support product that we're releasing, which we're excited about. There's
Yeah.
some fantastic things like cinnamon extract There's something called bitter melon. These are things they're obviously different herbs that
Mm.
are super helpful for appetite regulation and then blood sugar control. So you're just managing things better.
It sounds like you could almost mix it with your Negroni or something.
I mixed too many things with my Negroni on Friday night. It was our staff Christmas party, but,
And that was
you
not
know,
one of them.
we were taking our bloat clear capsules before dinner. I did notice some
Okay,
video evidence there, one of our
that's
products.
yeah. So, Steve, I like to close with the same reflection questions. What does living from the inside out mean to you personally?
It's living with the understanding that the way that you nourish your body is going to have such a massive flow and effect to all of the other parts in your life. And I don't know about you, Tracy, and I suspect you're like this as well. I get upset when I read a label, when I see a food that's just rubbish, especially when
Oh,
they try and greenwash it. It
yep.
upsets me because it's not so much for me because I know how to read it. I know how to look through it. I've been doing it for 25 years. It took me 15 years to figure it out, I'd say, maybe longer. And I definitely haven't got it all figured out, but I reckon I've got labels figured out now. And so that really upsets me. And, so I just find it so easy to hold up high and invest in high quality food and, and functional foods and supplements as well, I guess. I find it really easy for me to do that because I do value what I'm putting in my body so much because it's been so painful for me when I
Yes.
wasn't looking after my diet, my stress levels like I should have. And I really paid the price, although it's led me to where I am now. But I also feel sad for people that, like my kids. I feel sad for my son that he's going to have to go through this and try and figure this out. And, it's a real shame. So I find it really easy to value what I put in my body. And that's how I support myself from the inside out.
What daily practice helps you reconnect with yourself?
I This is a great question. I wish I did more than I do, but I'm a sauna advocate. And so
Yes.
I have a traditional sauna. So I get into the sauna, and normally that's my number one place for reconnecting. I have a 2.5-year-old son who's a bundle of energy. So, this is an opportunity for me to sit by myself and practice my breathing.
Mm.
Um, my breath work is one thing that is so underrated. And I hinted at it before. Breathing with that diaphragm, breathing down into your belly is so underrated. And also, I've seen I've seen maybe 5,000 one-on-one clients in my career. Could be more. It's so many. And I can tell you, not very many breathe beautifully with their diaphragm without me having to teach it to them. So it's very, very common for people to be up there with their neck. So, if you can find a space just to reconnect and center yourself, and breathing can be one of your catalysts, can strongly recommend that.
100%. What season of life are you in right now, Steve?
This is the only question that I saw on the question list. And then I technically, I'm going to give you a technical answer. And I believe that up until 43, you're in summer. I don't know. It's
Right.
like
I
something
haven't
like
heard that
20
before.
something until 43, you're in summer technically. And I'm 42, so I'm just in summer. But I feel like, Tracy, and I feel like I've got a few more years of summer left in me. I'm motivated, I'm energetic. I really love what I do. So I feel like I've got a little bit more time left before I hopefully go into my wiser autumn years.
Autumn. Okay. And what's winter? Is winter like?
Winter is hopefully when you are you're teaching all of your systems and your acquired knowledge to the youth. I think
Okay.
your children is in autumn, and
Wise.
then
Your wise years. Yeah.
your wisdom. Well, it's really sad to think that all of these things that would disappear. So I think so.
Yeah. And lastly, how has your definition of well-being changed over time?
Oh, well-being used to be I've lifted weights since I was 14 in my shed, right? And when I used to play sport, was always the youngest guy, and we used to play against New Zealand, and they were so big. So my definition of well-being back then was put on as much muscle as I could and
Yeah.
eat as much as I could and overtrain and punish my body and self-flagellate, and I was so punishing on myself. I
Mm,
was so cruel to myself in terms of my self-talk and the way I would treat my body, and I would never recover enough, and I thought it had to be more, 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 and if I wasn't doing more, 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 I was failing. And so
mm.
now it's obviously going through my gut health journey and yeah, near death. I mean, my gut was septic. I was in hospital for a week. It was really nasty. And now it's just I've realized that you really need to be kind to yourself fundamentally. You wouldn't
Yeah.
treat your garden in that way. You can't just over
No.
prune your plants and dig everything out. You've really got to care for nature, and you're a part of nature too. And it's really quality over quantity when it comes to looking after yourself. It's if you're going to lift weights, hey, get really good at it, but get really good at recovering too. And really, one thing that I've learned is the better your performance, the better you want to be at something, the more away you are from the middle, the better you also have to get at recovering and
Mm.
and being kind to yourself. So if you want to have great performance and great skin and really lean and fantastic hair and, do all these sort of things, and you're really above the mean, you better get good at the things that are on this side of the field, the other side of the field, which is your recovery, your sleep, your nutrition, the things that facilitate that great performance. Because if you're no good at your nutrition and your sleep, your performance isn't going to be very good either. You're going to be
Mm.
somewhere around the middle. So that's really changed for me.
And for me, that's the fundamentals of this podcast is learning about how to self reconnect. And you just explained that beautifully. Steve, thank you for sharing not just your knowledge today, but the philosophy and intention behind the work that you do. Conversations like this are such a reminder that true health isn't about chasing fixes or trends. It's about understanding our bodies, listening to ourselves, and building a well-being from the inside out. Where can people find you?
If you go to mywayup.com, mywayup.com, you can find all about me. I've got a book on mywayup.com. It's called Gut Health for Life. I wanted to call it How to Heal Your Gut, but it's not compliant to call something that. But it's all of the things that we've talked about. It's half manual, step-by-step manual, done for you meal plans, and then it's half recipes. Really nice recipes.
Fabulous.
It looks great.
I can't wait. It was so great chatting to you today.
Lovely to speak to you too, Tracy. Thanks for having me.